A breach attributed to Chinese hackers exposed 22 million federal employee records, including information connected to the people protecting the United States. The stolen data could help identify officials, map government workforces, and reveal relationships inside the national security system. So, why should you care? Because the same databases that hold your employment, financial, and personal information can become intelligent assets when a foreign government gains access. This is a question of privacy, but also of institutional security. How did a foreign operation reach one of America's most sensitive systems? And what can the information reveal about the people and agencies responsible for protecting the country? The answer begins with the network behind the breach. China's espionage efforts in the corporate world are relentless and multifaceted, targeting everything from trade secrets and proprietary technology to market intelligence and strategic plans. The goal is simple: to give Chinese companies an unfair advantage and undermine Western competitiveness. One of the most high-profile examples of Chinese corporate espionage is the case of Huawei, the Chinese telecommunication giant. Huawei has been accused of stealing trade secrets from several Western companies, including Cisco, Motorola, and T-Mobile. In the T-Mobile case, Huawei employees were caught stealing parts and blueprints for a phone testing robot nicknamed Tappy. The U.S. Department of Justice later indicted Huawei, and a Seattle jury found the company liable for trade secret theft. As William Evanina, former director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, has stated, China's theft of American intellectual property and trade secrets is one of the greatest transfers of wealth in human history. Beyond direct theft, China also uses more subtle methods to acquire Western technology and know-how. This includes recruiting former employees of Western companies, investing in Western startups, and requiring technology transfer as a condition of doing business in China. These tactics allow China to gain access to valuable intellectual property without resorting to outright theft. The CCP's long-term goal is to become a global leader in key technologies, and it is willing to use any means necessary to achieve this objective. Universities are supposed to be sanctuaries of open inquiry and innovation, but in recent years they've become prime targets for Chinese espionage. Beijing sees Western universities as gold mines of cutting-edge research, scientific breakthroughs, and emerging technology. According to a 2020 report by the US Senate, China's government has sponsored more than 200 talent recruitment programs with over 7,000 participants in the 1,000 Talents Plan alone. It offers lucrative salaries, research funding, and prestigious positions to Western academics willing to collaborate with Chinese institutions. But they often come with strings attached, namely the expectation that participants will transfer sensitive research and technology back to China. According to the FBI, US universities lose an estimated $3 to $6 billion each year to intellectual property theft. In 2020, the US Department of Justice announced that it was investigating more than 1,000 Chinese researchers for potential espionage or undisclosed ties to the Chinese military. That same year, the Trump administration revoked the visas of over 1,000 Chinese graduate students and researchers deemed security risks. Chinese spies and agents frequently pose as visiting scholars, graduate students, or postdoctoral researchers. They embed themselves in labs working on everything from artificial intelligence and quantum computing to biotechnology and advanced materials. Once inside, they gain access to unpublished data, proprietary algorithms, and even physical samples of experimental technology. The targets are not random. China's Ministry of State Security and other agencies maintain lists of high-priority research areas, and they direct operatives to focus on projects with military or commercial value. In 2019, Dr. Charles Lieber, the chair of Harvard's chemistry department, was arrested and later convicted for lying about his ties to the 1,000 Talents Plan and failing to disclose hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments from China. Lieber's case is just one of many. The Department of Justice has charged dozens of researchers with hiding their affiliations or smuggling research out of the country. The impact is not limited to the United States. In Australia, the United Kingdom, Canada, and across Europe, universities have reported similar incidents. Researchers pressured to share data, labs hacked, and sensitive projects compromised. It's crucial to remember that the vast majority of Chinese students are not involved in espionage. In fact, they are often among the biggest victims of Beijing's surveillance and pressure campaigns. Individuals who share our values of academic freedom and open inquiry, and whose intelligence, innovation, and hard work make them invaluable contributors to our society, deserving of our full respect and protection. That said, while Western universities pride themselves on being open and welcoming, that openness has been strategically exploited. The Chinese Communist Party has embedded a network of informants within Western campuses, leveraging student organizations and academic partnerships to monitor, report, and sometimes even intimidate. These spies target not only sensitive research and technology, but also dissenting voices in any activity deemed critical of the CCP. The Chinese Students and Scholars Association are at the heart of this network. With more than 150 chapters in the US and hundreds more worldwide, CSSAs receive funding and direction from Chinese consulates and embassies. Their official mission is to support Chinese students abroad, but in practice, they often act as the eyes and ears of the Chinese state. A 2018 report by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute found that CSSAs have been used to organize pro-Beijing rallies, disrupt events critical of the CCP, and report on students who attend sensitive lectures or protests. In one documented case, a CSSA in Canada sent a list of names and photos of students who attended a talk by a Tibetan activist directly to the Chinese consulate. This climate of fear and intimidation undermines the very purpose of higher education, the free exchange of ideas. It also gives Beijing a powerful tool to shape debate and silence dissent far beyond its borders. So I'll ask again, why should you care? Because when foreign spies embed themselves in our institutions, it doesn't just compromise government secrets, it chips away at our national security, our economy, and our sovereignty. If we don't recognize and defend against this silent invasion, we're not just losing data, we're losing control over our future. So what can you do? If you're a student, professional, or business owner, educate yourself on insider threat programs and data security. Push your workplace or university to adopt transparency policies around foreign research partnerships. And if you see suspicious behavior, report it. Silence is complicity. If this woke you up, subscribe, hit like, and share this with someone who still thinks propaganda is a problem for other countries. If you've seen how disinformation spreads or have experience with influence campaigns, drop it in the comments. I want to learn from you. I reply to every comment, and the most valuable contributions will show up in a dedicated Q&A episode. Find me at Why You Should Care Now on all platforms, or reach out directly at info@whyyoushoulddcarenow.com. Full breakdowns and bonus content are at whyyoushoulddcarenow.com. What you see is rarely the full truth.